Hi, this is Nathan Ware from Rain Networks, and today we're going to go through how to configure definitions in Macrium Site Manager as a starting point to configure a backup job in Macrium Site Manager. What the definitions wizard configures is what we want backed up on the machine. This is done by going to the definitions section on the left menu and clicking New Definition. The first screen here is asking us whether we want to do a full disk image or just a file and folder level backup. We're going to go ahead and give this definition a name for starters, and then select which of these two options we prefer. For this demonstration, we're going to use the disk image option since that's what most people use with Macrium Site Manager. This is going to give you a full bare metal image of a computer that could be restored on any other computer, regardless if it's the same hardware or whether it's a different piece of hardware. So I'm going to give my definition a name, select disk image, and click Next. It's then asking me which computer or computers we want this definition to apply to. We can create a definition that applies to multiple computers, which is great because then we don't need to make an individual definition for each machine. For my test environment, I only have one machine. I'm going to go ahead and select this machine and click Next. This is really the most key screen in this entire process. This is basically asking us which disk partitions we want Macrium to take an image of. It defaults to include all disks. However, in some situations, we wouldn't want it to include all disks. In that case, we can do a couple things here. We can select the operating system only option here. This is only going to get the system partitions that are pertaining to the operating system. Alternatively, we can make a fully custom rule here by clicking Custom and clicking Add Rule, and then selecting which option here would pertain to our situation. Maybe the only partition you need to get is the C drive. In that case, we would maybe select this option here, which is include partitions with specified drive letters. Click that. It's then going to ask us which drive letters to include. There's the C drive. Maybe we said, hey, we need to also get the D drive. We could include that in there as well. Hit confirm and then hit confirm again, and you'll see what we have. Now, if we wanted to have this custom rule, we would want to make sure and remove the other option of including all system partitions so that we are only left with this rule. The other thing I'll recommend here is use this button here, the Test Matching Partitions option. I'll go ahead and click this, and it's going to tell you which options match up on this particular machine. You can see in this situation, I do have a C drive on this machine, obviously. I don't have a D drive, by the way. But what Macrium's telling me here is it's not going to get this small system reserve partition. And in this case, I don't need that, so I'm okay with that. And that's just fine. But it's basically telling me with this red X that it's not going to get that partition. So anyway, you want to make sure at this screen, you're telling Macrium exactly which partitions and drives you want it to image. All right, I'm going to go ahead and click Next here. Again, it's going to show me that matching partitions screen again. I'm going to go ahead and click Next here. And this is the final screen in the definitions wizard. There's a few key options here that I would look at. If you need to save disk space, maybe you're tight on disk space, you need to save disk space, you can set your compression to high, and that will make your disk image that Macrium produces a little bit smaller. Okay. The other thing that's very common is people like to encrypt their backups so that if somebody got a hold of their backup file, it would essentially be unusable without a password. Just make sure that if you set an encryption password that you catalog this or remember it in some way. This is not recoverable in any way by Macrium support or anybody else. So this password really is something that you will make and you will have complete control over. There's no reset option here for this. Those are kind of the key options here for the definition wizard. Once we hit finish, it'll go ahead and make that definition. It will be listed in my definition list here. I can make as many definitions as I want. As I mentioned earlier, some people will make a definition that applies to multiple machines. Other people will make a definition individually for each machine. Feel free to do that if you want. There's no right or wrong answer. It's simply however you prefer to configure and organize your backups. The other option here that I will point out is you can use this copy option. If I wanted to make a second definition, I could use the copy option to simply copy my original one. I'll give it a new name, and you'll see here, now I have a second definition. This just saves me from going through the entire wizard all over again to make a definition. Can be a great time-saving feature. And then if I want to run a backup job, the Run Now option here is available, and I can walk through this wizard to kick off a one-time, non-scheduled backup job. I don't have any repositories set up yet because I'm going to make a video shortly on how to set up repositories, but I wanted to make sure that you knew that the Run Now option is the option for doing an ad hoc backup job at any time.